Wasabi Wallet. Unfairly private.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show, a Thursday edition of Why Are We Bullish? Why a day early? Well, I'm off to Miami tomorrow. I'm going to be in town for the Oslo Freedom Forum, hosted in part by Alex Gladstein with the Human Rights Foundation. And I'm going to be the MC at the Bitcoin Academy, which I'm very, very humbled to be a part of. So hats off to Alex. Thank you for inviting me in the first place. So if you're in Miami, let me know. I'll be down there and excited to see some Bitcoiners over the next few days. I'm there till Wednesday. Other than that, we've got an awesome panel. Very excited to have these guests today, which we'll get into momentarily. As always, of course, this is live. So a quick message from my good friend Bill here.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
If you haven't already, smash that like button, give this a share. Let's get a ton of people in the room and have a good Thursday evening. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
Before we bring in our panel, let's take a look at where we are in the market right now. I'm on the bitbo.io dashboard. We're sitting at $43,673 per coin. A single US dollar will pick you up 2,290 sats. What else do we have here? 89.67% of all Bitcoin have been mined. And in terms of fees, next block, you're looking at about 6 sats per byte. If you're willing to wait even half an hour longer, 1 sat per byte will do you. No pressure there. But maybe you want to set up some lightning channels and move some stuff into cold storage, do some coin join, whatever tickles your fancy. It's a good environment to do it. And you'll be missing those opportunities when fees inevitably do go back up when we get some FOMO going here. Of course, shout out to sponsors of the show, LEDN.io. You can use them for a variety of different services. In particular, if you need to get your hands on dollars and you don't want to sell your Bitcoin, of course, because that's a taxable event and you're worried about having to buy back in at a higher price, you can easily deposit Bitcoin, get dollars to your bank account within 24 hours. And when you pay back those dollars, you get back the same number of sats, which is the important number. Of course, they got savings accounts, B2X offering, all that good stuff. Check them out in the show notes. If you're stacking sats in Canada, Bitbuy, super easy solution. They've got a really slick web interface. They've got a dedicated app. And of course, after your first $250 purchase, they'll give you $20 for free. So check them out. I live on Bitcoin. Bitrefill really helps me with this. All kinds of gift cards, anything that tickles your fancy there. Tons of different countries available. You can pay with Bitcoin on-chain and Lightning Network, as I do. And you earn sats back as you shop. So check them out. You guys know Keystone, one of my easiest, most used hardware wallets, 100% air-gapped, offline entirely via QR code only, which is beautiful, or SD card if you so choose. They've got Bitcoin-only firmware, works with all my favorite wallets, Blue Wallet, Wasabi, Spectre, Sparrow, all the good stuff, and it's pretty badass in a multi-sig setup. So check them out in the show notes. And finally, if you're backing up any important Bitcoin wallet, get it in steel. What are you doing? This paper does not cut it. Fire damage, water damage. You might even accidentally discard the thing if you're not paying attention because it's a piece of paper. So check out the BillFodl over at privacypros.io. With that, enough of my rambling. Let's get the important people in the room. We've got Pubby. We got Anders. We got Jessica. Welcome all. I'm excited to have you. And let's do a little round of intros. Also, just a side note, we are one shy right now. Rick from Crypto Cloaks is supposed to be in here, but he's just MIA. He must be, maybe there was a 3D printer emergency. I don't know. I was even filming a tutorial before this, and I had to cover up some personal information on my phone, so I had a conveniently placed Crypto Cloaks sticker. And he goes and does me dirty like this. We'll see what's up, Rick. Anyways, let's get some intros. Pubby, let people know who you are, what you do.
Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm really just a Bitcoin plebe, not pleb. No, seriously though, over the years, I started. If you've heard my story, started at the top in 2017 and just never stopped buying. On my way to the bottom, I discovered Anders and his great takes. We became friends, started a little podcast called Toxic Happy Hour, and here we are, man. We do that. We try to do at least once a week if we can, maybe twice. And now I've jumped onto Spaces. I just love to get the word about Bitcoin out there.
I am muted. Sorry. Somebody in the live chat is already calling me sound like a dumb fuck because he's not listening at 1.75x. Thanks. Good to see you, Ben. Let's go down the line. Jess, let people know who you are.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm a huge fan of the Why Are We Bullish show, so I'm happy to be here. I'm Jessica. I'm Jessica Hodlr on Twitter. I've been in Bitcoin for a few years now, but just recently got into Bitcoin Twitter. Had no idea there was this huge community online. I was going through the dips by myself, and it's much better now. I talk about Bitcoin and freedom and why it's the greatest asset humanity has ever come across and why people should learn about it.
Awesome. I love it. A true pleb story. From our last and first meeting in Miami, your family also is all in on the corn. So that's always good to see the family corn effort. Yeah. Let's toss down the line one more time to Anders. Anders, let people know who you are, what you do.
Sure. First of all, thanks a lot for having me on, Ben. It's great to see you again. And Jessica and Poppy, all four of us saw each other in Miami at Bitcoin 2021. So what do? I mean, I'm mainly, my passion is Bitcoin. So I'm thinking Bitcoin pretty much 24/7. And then I do Toxic Happy Hour with Poppy. Although right now we're not as pumping out as much content as before. But yeah, so my mind is all on Bitcoin.
That's awesome, man. And also, I think I just first of all, thanks for being here. You guys, I was like an early guest on your show when you got rolling, which was super awesome. And I love whenever I get to dive into one of those and listen and troll the chat. It's a lot of fun. And also, I see so Jason in the comments, scarf pump. Here we go. So that's awesome. I see Rick attempting to get in here. So if and when he sneaks in, then I will I'll bring him in. But we'll see. We'll see. It might happen. It might not. We'll see. But anyways, those of you that are watching that are not privy to what happens with Why Are We Bullish, effectively, it's a really easy premise. We go by the 3 R's. Somebody's going to give a reason why they're bullish. Then all together, we're going to riff on that reason. And once we're done with that reason, we're going to rotate to the next person. Really, really easy. And I'm going to start us off. So I've got a reason for being bullish. And it popped up. I was curious the other day because I saw Umbrel just dropped. They partnered with a hardware company, and they dropped their plug and play node, which is super awesome because it gives accessibility to people that maybe just the only reason they weren't diving into using a node was they were worried about buying parts and putting them together. Even though it is, once you do it yourself, it's really not that hard. But that could be a roadblock for some people where they just can't get past that idea. And so they dropped their plug and play node, which looks super cool. It's got a little screen on the front that tracks different metrics, and you can set it for whatever you like. But I was like, I wonder how many people have gone through, because I did a video a while back on how to do your own Bitcoin node. And I looked at it, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that 57,000 people have watched that video on how to run their own Bitcoin node. And that's just one. Like, I've done another one on my node and some other previous ones. And so I'm looking at that thinking, okay, if somebody's watching this, yeah, there's going to be some rewatches and stuff, but if somebody's watching this, it's probably because they want to set up their own node. And so if I'm pretty conservative and I say, well, maybe 1 in 10 people that watch this actually ended up going through the steps to do it, that's 5,700 new nodes on the network of people verifying blocks and being resistant to attack in many different forms and preserving privacy. And that makes me bullish as fuck, because it's never been more accessible. It's never been more easy to do something like this and not only get access to, just running a copy of the Bitcoin blockchain, but to connect your hardware wallets to it and to preserve your privacy that way. You know, make sure people aren't looking in on your UTXOs and your IP address and things like that. And then utilize all of the awesome apps that go along with it, like your Lightning node and the stuff that Umbral has started to incorporate that are even external to Bitcoin, like running your own server to save your pictures and files and stuff like that. So it's not just all in the cloud and controlled by somebody else. And it's truly becoming this movement of removing trust in third parties and becoming self-sovereign in a variety of different ways. And that excites the hell out of me. So that is my reason for being bullish, is just through proxy, through having noticed how many people were interested in this, which is, it's a niche topic, running your own Bitcoin node. But to see the interest in that, it kind of reignites that fire where I see promise. As crazy as the world is, I see promise in people being interested in this kind of thing. So that's what makes me bullish. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on that, nodes, anything like that. Feel free to jump in.
Yeah, are we going in order? Yep, just like our show. Andrew.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, Puppy, go first.
Go ahead, Puppy.
No, let me tell you something. We were talking briefly offline about how much information is out there now versus when people started only 4 years ago. And I mean, it was quite limited. One of the great things that I always do if I'm running a Spaces chat or anything else, man, if people have questions, I get to point them to where? BTC session, man. You want to learn how to do something? This guy is putting out some fucking content on how you can run a node, the reviews of hard wallets, any wallets. It's about the content, but you're right, man. So out of those 57,000, I think I'm responsible for probably 56,000 of them.
That makes me less bullish.
No, man. No, I'm bullish because of the content that is being put out and the content that is being put out for free. We joke about you know, you were one of the first guests on our little show. Guess who else came early? Hodl or not, American Hodl, Jeff Booth, Greg Paul. These guys that could charge $1,000 an hour if they wanted, they come on a show that we barely get 30 listeners, you know, and they're sharing their story, they're sharing their love of Bitcoin. So that's why I'm bullish. It's because of the brilliance in the space, the brilliance that is offering up their services at no cost. They do it because they believe in Bitcoin, and you can't defeat that kind of passion.
Yeah, it's pretty unique amongst Bitcoiners that they'll just kind of, just because of the passion of what they're dealing with, a lot of Bitcoiners will just go out and just make shit and are so helpful. And I've even experienced that just in people helping me with topics that I didn't understand, but I wanted to cover, Lightning in particular. Recently, all the people over at Plebnet, Nate, aka B4Bacon1 on Twitter, like just spending an hour and a half with me, walking me through every little detail. Like, I'm eating up his evening with his family, and he's like, no, it's fine. We'll spend the time. And because of that, because of how nice he was with his time, you know, now there's some content out there, and he's regularly doing Q&As and going on shows and stuff. And yeah, it's, you know, it seems to be a common thread amongst Bitcoiners that they're very gracious with their time when somebody genuinely wants to learn. Danish, what about you? How are you feeling about people running nodes, people using the tools and making stuff?
Oh, it's great. And just to expand on what Puppy said, the best place or the first place I think of if anyone's looking for information or tutorial about anything, just send them to your channel because I know that if there's anything that needs a tutorial, you already made it. So that's pretty cool. So what the thing that makes you bullish about the network getting more and more decentralized, and you saw that on your just the amount of usage of your video or the views. It reminds me of one thing that on-chain analysis is showing, and that is that Bitcoin holders with less than 1 Bitcoin, I don't know if we should call it Bitcoin plebes or whatever, continues to just buy and hold more and more and more and more Bitcoin. The bigger holders, there are some variations, when price goes up, when price goes down, there is some shuffling around, someone's taking profit, someone's buying the dip, etc. But when you look at the graph of the amount of Bitcoin held by entities with 1 Bitcoin or less, it's just going up steadily, and fairly steep. So that's kind of the same thing you're talking about with, the decentralization, the amount of people coming in, and the fact that now the network is so decentral that, in my opinion, there are no threats left to Bitcoin. But yeah, it's Bitcoin is going to the people, and that's extremely bullish in terms of where it's going, because it's taking over the world. I don't have any doubt about that.
That's great. Jess, are you running a node yet?
Actually, we're gonna set up ours tomorrow.
Oh, really? What are you doing Umbral, or what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty slick.
It's so funny. My mom and I were talking about it today and seeing how they came out with a product that makes it even easier. It reminds me of when you went from manual cars to automatic cars. Manual cars, you actually have to, think about what you're doing and how to drive the car. But with automatic cars, anyone can drive. So it's almost like anyone can run a node,
I love it. And I think I've got somebody backstage that can add a little bit to the node talk here. I'm sure he can hear me right now. I see him fiddling with his camera, but I'm going to bring him in mid fiddle. There he is. There's the man himself. Rick, how you doing?
Yeah, sorry I'm late. It's chaos over here, so I figured I'd try to jump in when I could.
That's all good, man. Welcome. For people watching, can you let people know who you are, what you do?
Oh, yeah, I'm Rick from Crypto Cloaks, and we're currently in the midst of a bunch of chaos as we move to Colorado. So literally the shop is empty now and in boxes. So, yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, dude, it's been a while since we kind of spoke for more than a quick Twitter interaction. So I'm stoked to have you here. And I was just giving my reason for being bullish was a video in which you guys were featured in. Was my Umbral node video.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I looked at the viewership the other day, and it was 57,000 people have watched that. And I was kind of reasoning through, well, even if 1 in 10 of those people were actually deciding to build a node, that's 5,700 new nodes on the network of people.
Bullish on itself.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's awesome. And I mean, you guys are in the business of making cases and making your node personal. You can personalize your node. And so you guys must be seeing the numbers of stuff like that going out the door, and you get a pretty good indication of the interest and stuff like that. So what are your thoughts there?
It is crazy. I mean, over the past 6 months, we're up over 700% over last year, just Bitcoin node cases in general. So if that's not a factor for this year, I don't know what is. It's nuts. And a lot are coming from you. They all use your coupon code. So I can tell how many people are coming straight from that video, man. It's pretty nuts.
That's awesome. No, it's great. I think it's probably one of the most rewarding pieces of content I ever made, because then you get people posting pictures on Twitter and they're like, yo, I'm running a node now. And everybody's like, and I love seeing whenever somebody does anything that kind of establishes them as like a self-sovereign entity where they're like, hey, even as much as like, finally for the first time got my money off in an exchange. You know, I'm now holding my own keys, or hey, I'm using a hardware wallet now, or I'm running a node, or I'm playing with Lightning and I'm starting to set up channels. All of those things, it's just so great to see people like start to learn and want to learn and understand why it's important. It's just so awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It is really awesome to see because people are just becoming more and more self-sovereign, and you notice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yellow says he did. Yellow didn't know you were so short.
No, I just sold all my shares, so I have to sit on the ground.
Thanks, Yellow. And then BTC pins. Man, there's just the peanut gallery in here. He should print longer legs.
Is this chat live on YouTube, dude? Is it?
It is. It is.
Fuck, I gotta find him. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. So I guess, I mean, I'll round up this topic. Overall, again, I love that people are taking the time to learn, and the more you do stuff like this where you're like, hey, I'm gonna run a node, it's such a learning experience that it builds up your conviction, your confidence in Bitcoin itself, because you see how it's working under the hood and you understand what it would take to pull it down. And you're not likely to lose any bullishness once that's established. So I guess I'll round out that topic and we're going to keep it going. Now, Pubby, did we inadvertently already do your topic like via segue through mine?
No, man, I got like 3 reasons to be bullish. Are we doing 3 rounds of this shit?
No, it just sounded like you like inadvertently went into your reason for being bullish. But if you got reasons, this is now your time to shine. This is your moment to rant about what has you bullish this week. So take it away, friend. What are you feeling?
Look, man, I'll give you 2, and these are 2 that just came out of the last week. Okay, not the obvious ones that everyone has already known. Let me tell you one. When I saw Twitter is now able to process through tip jars and transfer value using the rails of Bitcoin, Strike was one level. Now you've got network effect. And to me, this is the great thing about Bitcoin to me. When most of us started a couple of years ago, it was about peer-to-peer transfer of value. Michael Saylor comes along and blows everything up with this proposition of, listen, it's a store of value. You can almost buy, borrow, and die with Bitcoin. And that narrative, like, man, that shook my world. And now what you see is Twitter, one of the largest places in the world, is using the network effect. So you had Bitcoin, the asset. Now you got Bitcoin, the network. And most people don't know about Bitcoin and network. I don't know how you evaluate that or put any valuation on it. But that is one thing that's really got me bullish, is like this network effect of using the Bitcoin rails to transfer value. So that was number 1.
I love that. And wait, I know I want to tag on to that because you were just talking about everything's interoperable, right? You're using the Bitcoin rails and people can just plug into that and be compatible. And so I've seen a couple things in and around that, and namely myself being like, when do I get the tipping function? I want the tipping function on Twitter because I'm in Canada and I have access to Strike, even though it's not available in Canada right now, but I'm like, I want that to be available. But then the other day, well, a couple things. Preston Pish was talking about this the other day with me, and he was like, well, I mean, people didn't realize that you can just do it. You don't need Twitter to enable you to do it. And so he was on Twitter saying, hey, download Blue Wallet and screenshot an invoice and put it up. And people, especially like from his world, from people listening to the Investors Podcast that aren't like Bitcoin experts, that have never used Lightning themselves, so they went and they did it and put a screenshot, and then they're getting like $1 like to London in half a second, and they're like, oh, holy shit, that worked. I didn't even need it to like go through Twitter. It's just, he's like, yeah, it's an open network. And then the other day I noticed, I didn't even realize I had it, but I have a plugin on my browser from the Zebedee Wallet, and I'm just going to do this live just because it's fun. So this is somebody else who I know who has the same plugin on their browser as well. So you can just download like a little plugin called the Zebedee Wallet. And so what this does is it gives you a full wallet just sitting there in your browser that you can use for Lightning, but it also integrates with Twitter. And so now under this tweet, there's a little lightning icon. And so when I click on it, it literally opens up a payment to Mags here, and I can send her like 100 sats, and I can be like, yo, I'm doing this live on the show. Enjoy the sats. And then I just hit pay, and off it goes. So I just tipped her 100 sats. I didn't even need Twitter to be enabled with Lightning to do that. And that's that you can just add that. So what you're talking about everything being interoperable, it's just instantly available, and there's already ways to do it, and you don't need gatekeepers to enable it. It's just there. And I love that. And anybody can feel free to like dive in at any point.
No, listen, and talk about making it interoperable. One of the great things is now, I heard Jessica talking about, listen, you get something from Umbral, the plug and play. This is where technology has always started and come through. I remember early days with computers. I used to use an actual cassette tape to download video games, a cassette tape. When you had cell phones, to download the amount of work you had to do, you had to use the command line to get things done. Now you go to a Play Store, you hit one button, and it's done behind the scenes. So that's a beautiful thing with what Umbral does. Now, if you want to mainstream people, the ones that are tech savvy are here. The ones that are the future, that don't want to deal with what a hardware wallet and air gap, what is it? They don't want to do that, man. What they want is a plug and play system, and that's the future moving forward. And so I'm always amazed at how far we've come in the Bitcoin community, where we started to where we're going. It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, Anders, Rick, Jess, if anybody wants to jump in on what Puppy's been saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Anders.
Let's do Jess
Go ahead,
first,
Jessica.
and then
Yeah.
Jess, then Anders.
I mean, like we've heard Jack Mallers say, this is a global rules-based monetary policy. I feel like this is creating inclusivity like we've never seen before. This is representing sovereignty and a tool for freedom. I mean, anyone can tip anybody anything they want. It's absolutely insane. Like when the news came out, I was like so bullish. It's just mind blowing that this is actually happening.
Yeah, it's liberating, right? Anders,
Yeah.
sorry, I'll let you chime in too.
No, it's okay. I was trying to follow, like on my screen. I got try to follow what you said before, because on the screen I'm after Poppy. But all good. Happy to hear Jessica give her reasons for being bullish. Yeah, I agree with what Poppy says. The network. I mean, Twitter is one of the largest and most engaged social media platforms in the world, and them integrating Lightning Network so people can start throwing Satoshis around either as tips or, just as a way of transferring money, instead of Western Union without any fee. It's extremely bullish because it's just all these like foundational things, like all the important things are just moving very bullish, and I think that's a great reason.
I like that Jack Mallers said that now Twitter is one of the easiest and most streamlined remittance experiences on the planet. Just Twitter. Like he did that video that he did where he from Twitter sent $10 to somebody standing in line at Starbucks in El Salvador, which they immediately received. and then used, and he did it from a non-custodial, from like Moon Wallet, sent to somebody's Twitter tip link, and then that person used that money to then send from his Strike account to pay for a coffee on the spot, and it all happened in like less than a minute. Crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah. You know what's
I thought we
interesting
weren't
about-
allowed to buy coffee with Bitcoin. What happened?
Yeah, I know what
That's
happened.
impossible.
Roger Ver is screaming. There must have been a trade-off. Like many more babies must have died to make this possible. Like, I don't know.
Hey, I
But-
remember those days. Litecoin was the silver to Bitcoin gold. I remember those days. Bitcoin can't scale, pre-Lightning, and look at us now, man. Look at what they're doing now. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's okay. So I got a text. You reminded me of something. Was so the Litecoin is the silver to Bitcoin's gold. That narrative that gradually has just been destroyed. But I saw somebody using that for Ethereum the other. It was like a mainstream media article being like, if Bitcoin is gold, then Ethereum is silver. And I love that narrative is playing out, because when you look at like the long term chart of Litecoin versus Bitcoin, it's just like a volatile path to zero. And so I did a screenshot of that. I was like, perfect. Ethereans, gaze upon your future, because this is what's going to happen. It's just going to be like, oh, we're gonna flipping, but that flipping narrative just gradually gets more and more depressing. So yeah, it's it eviscerates the shitcoin narratives, right? Like, oh, it's too slow, it's too expensive, it can't do complex smart contracts. All of those things are there, and it can do them, and we sacrificed nothing in the process. On the base layer, we stood our ground and said, no, this needs to be there. We need to maintain the sanctity of that base layer and prove that it is truly immutable, and that seems to have been established. And now we're having our cake and eating it too, and everybody else is stuck with like a vegan cake or something, whatever the hell they made up. If anybody else has any thoughts on what Pubby said, here's your last chance to throw them in. Otherwise, I'll roll it over to the next.
Anders always has a great bullish case. What's up, man?
Let's
sure.
toss it down to Anders. It's your go. Here's your rant. Why are you bullish, man?
So I was thinking about that before the show, and just so many things. But kind of what to me defines why I'm bullish is if you look at all the fundamentals. Like, one thing is price. Short-term price can do anything. It doesn't really matter. If you look at the fundamentals, then everything, in my opinion, looks very bullish. Like, one thing is on-chain analysis, which I would say, okay, that's one thing, looking at who's buying. And like I mentioned earlier, as a response to yours, how entities with less than one Bitcoin, they continuously take over a bigger percentage of the supply. So-called whales, which is 1,000 Bitcoin or more, they actually, over time, with every cycle, reduce their amount of Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin is getting more and more distributed. But anyways, this, from the bottom of the hierarchy, just a continuous growth of ownership, and it's very bullish, because it shows more and more people start using Bitcoin, starts getting into Bitcoin. But also, if you look at other, I would say, rather important fundamentals, is we now have one full country on a Bitcoin standard where Bitcoin is legal tender in El Salvador, where every merchant has to accept Bitcoin as payment. So it's there, put side to side with the dollar. And from what I'm hearing, it's taking over the percentage of what medium of exchange is being used there. Also, so that's one country only out of almost 200.
Anders, can I jump in for 1 second? Because I think
buddy.
Yeah, can I interview you for a sec, or interrupt you for a second, as always? No, you bring up a great point. What I thought was interesting, though, and there's in between they're forced to accept Bitcoin. But what was interesting, what I thought the most fascinating was you can receive it as Bitcoin, but it's converted into the currency of your choice.
Yes.
So I
So
think
they can store. Yeah.
there's a nuance. There's a nuanced distinction there between.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. Like the merchants can choose to store it in dollars or in Bitcoin, as far as I know. But we all know what happens over time. The price of Bitcoin goes up. Yes, short term it fluctuates, but over time, number go up technology teaches people a very important lesson. That is, it's better to store your value in Bitcoin. So that is one fundamentals is country-wise. And I still claim that only one company, at least that is publicly listed, has, and out of, I think it's thousands and thousands of global companies that are listed on a stock exchange, only one has fully adopted Bitcoin as a standard where they keep all their liquid store value in Bitcoin. And that's, of course, MicroStrategy. Yes, Square has dabbled, Tesla has dabbled. It doesn't, to me, yes, that, those are great, but one company has converted all their dirty fiat into Bitcoin, and they've profited from doing that. So one country, one company, and it's just, and plebes are taking over, with less than one Bitcoin entities. So to me, it's only going that one direction. Anything short-term price, it doesn't matter. Bitcoin will take over as the primary store value and medium of exchange in the world, in my opinion. And these are just so early days. When I have conversations with people, it's still, it's still, people are like against it. They believe the fraud, the propaganda against Bitcoin. So yeah, I think all the fundamentals just point in one direction, and that is Bitcoin is totally on track to taking over as money of the world.
I like the initial point you made about distribution too, because one of the FUD pieces is, oh, it's unfair. People who got in early, they have so much, and it's going to be, and then they use like the percentages of who owns what. But like you were saying, tracking the percentage of the total pool and where it's flowing, it's newcomers gradually obtaining more. It's the opposite directional flow from our current proof of stake fiat system that we have, right? Because in our fiat system, those with money and influence are guaranteed a ever-growing piece of the pie, because it's a proof of stake system. If you have money and influence, you can guarantee that you can print more of that money and have a bigger percentage of the pie. And all of the people at the bottom, they're just left the fuck out, and they subsidize their lifestyles with ever-growing debt. That's how they feel like they're not losing, okay? Whereas Bitcoin, it's those who provide the most value. That's where the capital flows. Those that create goods and services that people find value in, that's where the capital flows. And those that took a risk early, and they may not have realized where they were putting their money, and they lucked out and they got a ton of Bitcoin. Congratulations. I'm super happy for you. I'm jealous, but I'm super happy for you. The thing is, for those people, number one, they never in today's terms would be able to purchase the amount of Bitcoin they currently own based on their incomes. But to actually accumulate more Bitcoin, they have to provide value to the market such that people would be willing to part with their Bitcoin or with their fiat while it still can be converted to Bitcoin. Well, people will still accept that trade. But otherwise, if they want to take advantage of the fact that they lucked out and they got in early, well, they're going to have to spend at some point, right? If that's where the bulk of your wealth is, if you're all in Bitcoin, then it's a necessity that you spend it at some point because you have to live. And how you choose to spend that is whatever. But they're not guaranteed. Just because you have a lot of Bitcoin, you are not implicitly guaranteed to get more. And your piece of the pie will likely shrink if you're super early and you want to enjoy it, or it will only grow if you're providing value to other people. So, it's just the total inverse of the system that we have.
if anyone ever tells you got lucky from whenever you
Yeah.
you decided to invest in Bitcoin, you have my explicit permission to punch them straight in the face. Okay, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why. The ones that started in 2009, 10, or 11, are you fucking kidding me? People that had they're using things like a paper wallet. Okay, a paper wallet. And I'm thinking back to those days of technology. They're jumping in on something that unproven. It's not government backed, not sanctioned, not anything. They had a belief in an idea. And ideas, as we know, an idea whose time has come. That idea can change the world. These are the ones that started early. Okay, so anyone that says anyone here that you got lucky, even at 43,000, whatever it is, $44,000 Bitcoin, you're not getting lucky, because I tell you what, man, you're in the top 1% of anyone that has taken a chance on this revolutionary technology, and that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, again, those that take the most risk should be, if it pans out, if they were correct, why not be rewarded for that? That's the whole reason you take risk in the first place.
I agree. Fuck people that tell you you're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rick, you're a perfect example of somebody that I would hope is growing their stack by providing value to people, right? Like, you built a business, you figured out something that people find is fucking awesome, and they're willing to part with sats for it. And you just, you bird something of value. It's great. You've been burring away at the printer, and, in a very good way. That's not malicious.
Yeah, man. We don't sell any Bitcoin we get, so I'd rather go in fiat debt than sell my Bitcoin to pay off shit. So I hold everything. That's for sure.
That's great. No, I love that. It's and yeah, we need to see more of that, and I think we will, because Bitcoiners that find ways to get other Bitcoiners to part with sats on occasion, they're way more likely to be good savers, right? Jess, are you a big saver? Do you ever actually, the better question is, what things have you been willing to part with sats for, or have you?
None. I was just gonna say, like, not only having the guts to get into it, but then having the guts to hold on to it and to never sell it. Like, I never. No, it's too precious to me.
See,
I look at it as like my children's and my grandchildren's livelihood, like, never.
Yeah, it's you're building, you're basically building intergenerational wealth, right? It's something that you're looking for, and this is a low time preference quality of Bitcoiners thinking, well, this is not just for me, but this is you're building like a sat dynasty into the future, and
Exactly.
the citadels that spring up because of your low time preference back in the days when people had no idea what was coming will be felt for generations, hopefully.
That's the goal.
Yeah, you're gonna need some.
The only way I get rid of Bitcoin is giving it to like another company by a pleb, like forgettable pins and stuff.
Oh, shots fired. Shots fired. You know what? I will say, I've parted with sats for products that people make and they refuse to accept dollars, but I actually want the product. And I should clarify, like, my income is Bitcoin. Like, that's what I earn. And so it's the only way to really be like fully all in. So basically I convert at the beginning of the month because I know what my expenses are, but then the rest sits in Bitcoin unless something comes up. But one of the things that I value, because I don't know, as Bitcoiners, we BTC pins is flipping you the bird, man.
I have to give them a little bit of shit.
But we as Bitcoiners, like, our money isn't tangible, so sometimes I like to have keepsakes. And so a couple, like, one of the things that that I treasure is I have a subscription to Citadel 21. I really enjoy that magazine. It's written by plebs, lots of great contributors to that, and I just like having it sitting on my shelf there. And so that's something where I'm willing to part with some sats to get that, because I'll keep that well into the future. And there's a few things like that, but yeah, it's you gotta hold on to your sats, guys.
The best part is though, like with these smaller companies or companies that only accept Bitcoin, is like the Strike app. You can get rid of dirty fiat and help them build their stack at the same time. And that's what all I do now is I never really get rid of my own Bitcoin. It's just giving them Bitcoin and trading my dirty fiat. I think that's the greatest thing that's come out so far.
I think that's I like that point, because in a world where, like in El Salvador, where people are holding the currency of their choice, if you are holding dollars at any point, just because that's what maybe you get paid in, again, it can auto convert to whatever you like. And then the merchants that want to accept Bitcoin, it just starts to push out the bad money gradually over time. And so it is a beautiful thing to just be like, oh, I got these dollars here. Fuck those. Let's get rid of those as quickly as possible.
Strike is like that. Strike is like a drug dealer. You're getting away some free fucking samples and don't realize it. You're getting free samples of what it's like to go from fiat into Bitcoin. You're getting free samples of transferring value. You think you're transferring it in your fiat currency. Then you realize all of a sudden, wait, what the fuck? Bitcoin rails? Man, this is pretty good. And all of a sudden, you can take it. You're saving off in Bitcoin, and you realize after 2 years, your Bitcoin savings is kicking ass over everything you ever had, and you don't even need a bank.
Yeah,
it's glorious.
And the other thing that you were saying, Anders, earlier was about, or maybe it was Puppy. I can't recall who brought up the people getting angry about being forced to use Bitcoin. But Puppy, you pointed out, well, they don't have to hold Bitcoin if they don't want. It can instantly go to dollars, right? They can hold the dollars. But it to me, it's almost similar to when we went from like switchboards for phones to the phones using the internet to be routed, like using voice over IP. If people had been protesting in the streets being like, we want to use switchboards, let us use switchboards. You're like, chill the fuck out, grandma. You can still make a phone call. It's just going to be cheaper and easier, and you don't have to buy a laptop and surf the web. Like that's the equivalent here. You're basically able to only be in dollars if that's truly what you want. And the only implication to you is that the fees in doing so are now lower. So, yeah.
I love that. Chill the fuck out, grandma.
I mean, yeah, like it's, again, they're not being forced into using, like holding and using another currency. It's just like, hey, the back end infrastructure of how you receive your dollars is slightly different. Here's the app to do so. If you really don't want to do it, there's also a provision that means that you can opt out if you can't possibly get your mind around like using an app on a phone or something. That's fine. Yeah. So like, I get the aversion to coercion. I understand that, but like to me, it's more just like an infrastructure thing of like, hey, the infrastructure is different, but we've not removed any of your rights or abilities to accept and receive dollars or hold dollars or anything like that. It's just the back end way that it gets sent to you is just optimized. That's it. Yeah. So I'm going to round this one out. I like that topic though. Anders, thank you very much for that. If everybody's watching live, I see you guys in the chat. Make sure you smash that like button. Give this a share. Let's keep it rolling. I'm going to toss it to Rick because this is the order that I'm seeing on my screen. And yeah, man, what has you feeling bullish this week? What are you excited about?
Perfect. I'm glad I'm next because my phone is going to die like in the next 5 minutes. So
Okay, sweet.
if I just leave, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm super bullish on like Bitcoin and gaming. The way that is transforming an entire space is going to be next level shit. What Zebedee is doing with CSGO, that is amazing. What Satoshi Games is doing, that is like amazing. And just watching how that whole thing is unfolding and literally lightning built into video games, that's where I'm super bullish. As a gamer myself and grew up gaming, I mean, how can you not like earning sats in video games? That's the coolest shit I've ever seen. Like, that's the best. I'm super bullish on Bitcoin and gaming.
I think it's cool. It opens up a unique thing for, because like I'm shit at games. I'll play games from time to time. Me and my wife will crush some Mario Kart. That shit's awesome. So I love doing stuff like that. I like, sitting in a room with friends and doing like a game night. I find that super fun. But like it's really interesting to see, obviously esports has become a huge thing. And up until now, it's been like, okay, if you're getting paid in some way for that, it's traditional payment rails. And now people are seeing that, oh, you can actually, like, if you're a quote unquote like professional in this world, you don't even need to be anymore. You can still like go in and play these games and earn sats and actually take home some sats from doing it. I've been playing a little bit with not much into the games yet, but I've been experimenting with like the Zebedee Wallet. I would get destroyed if I tried to do like CSGO or something like that. I'm not that type of a game. It would be like me swearing at the screen as I instantly died every time, and some 12-year-old said something bad about my mother. That would be the process there. But there's another one that basically looks like Mario Kart that I dicked around with, which was kind of fun. But yeah, they just like plug it in and there's like a patch effectively where you're earning sats as you're playing the game, and it's super cool. Like, what have you played there? What have you used?
So I've done the CSGO. I got crushed. I'm not that good. I just like playing it. I also did Sat Vival, and then oh my god, Light Night. I just try them all because I think it's super cool.
Light Night is interesting. It's like one of those battle royale, like you drop in and it's like
you can do
Fortnite.
like team deathmatch on it too, so it's not as hardcore battle royale, but they're doing a whole bunch of different game modes. I mean, it's cool. Like I got like 1,200 sats. I'm like, huh, all I did was shoot a couple people. This is pretty neat.
That's too funny. Yeah, no, it's definitely like the one thing about it, especially when you're thinking in marketing terms, is they're going after a very niche market, and they're injecting themselves in a way where it's like, hey, these guys are already playing. In some instances, they're already playing for money. We can, rather than have like an in-game currency, we can just inject sats, and people will realize very quickly, like, oh, I got these sats in game. Like, are they stuck here? How do I get them out? And then realize, like, oh, it's just actual money that I can use instantly anywhere. I can jump over to like Bitrefill and grab a gift card in 2 seconds, and that's pretty. Again, because it's just interoperable and it's not a walled garden, I can only imagine that light bulbs are going off in a number of different people's heads as they have that experience for the first time. I like this topic. I don't know if anybody else are the boomers in the audience gamers or
listen. I'm a fucking boomer, dude. I started out with Atari. I remember playing Pong. I had Intellivision. Let me explain Intellivision to you. You were playing American football. You had 3 down linemen, 1 quarterback, and 1 run. You didn't even have they couldn't even put 11 people on the goddamn field. All right, you just had a couple people. That's how old that shit was. And to make an interception, it was all 2-dimensional. You weren't throwing a ball. If you just stepped in front of the ball, you got that interception. So
was
that's
that Tecmo Bowl or whatever that game was called?
Oh, Tecmo Bowl was light years ahead of Intellivision.
Because that's like pretty damn old too.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Puppy, can you release Sat Pong? Like you
dude,
harken back to your golden age.
I remember, man. You take a rectangular block and you move it up and down the screen, and you block the little rectangular square to the other side, and you felt like you were a goddamn genius. This is where,
Hey, I
this
love
is where
Palm.
we
Don't get me
come.
wrong. Those are classics.
Jess
There,
is like, what the fuck am I doing here?
hey, man, I'm trying to think. This guy named Rob that's in Spaces. You want to talk about money? The money in those classic games right now. People that are my age that would pay good money for ColecoVision and Television Atari. Fuck, man, there's some good money to be made there for sure.
Well, you know what? All you need to do is you get an old node that you're no longer using anymore. You just convert that Raspberry Pi into like one of those little retro Pis, and then you just get a game, and then you can have like the entire library of like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64 on like an SD card of like every game that was ever created, and it's all there. But I don't know if that's sacrilegious. I see puppies like dying inside.
You know what I realized, man? I see. Listen, I grew up playing soccer. Anders, is a big football fan. Bromby, he's got me a jersey. Says puppy on the back. No way you have it, you fucker. Anyway, I know if I
there it is.
Son of a bitch. All I know is if I never bought FIFA whatever year, because I know if I do that, I'm lost. I'm lost in the world. I've got this bit of addictive personality. Thankfully, I've turned it into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is more productive.
Bitcoin gamifies real life because you're accumulating points that are sats, and so you go and you play the game that is your fiat mining job, and then you come home and you stack sats with it, and whoever has the highest points wins.
Can I jump into another reason I'm bullish? Or wait, does Jessica want to go again?
I gotta toss it after we round this one. I gotta give it to Jessica first.
Yeah,
so
go.
Well, I wanted to say, did you guys ever go on when Bitcoin Magazine did their like gaming nights on Tuesdays and Thursdays?
I never got to join that. I got to see.
I'm not a gamer, but you bet I was on whenever it was 8 o'clock, and it's basically like this random game where all the people in the chat are like random pellets, and then they just like throw them through this tube, and whoever gets there first wins the sats. And it's so cool. It's so easy. You just link it to your carrot and you get your sats.
That's super awesome. Are they still doing that, or did they stop?
I don't know.
Bring it back so I can try it. I
know, right?
Yeah, like that would be fun. Like a bunch of Bitcoiners just dicking around online, and you can win some sats. Like that's a good. I like the social aspect of it. Like I can't typically sit alone in a room and like just play a game, but I can like socially do it in a group of people, and I would enjoy that.
Are live the entire time, so it's just funny to watch it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Well, I love that topic, Rick. That's awesome. And again, it kind of links into the whole like Zebedee and Satoshi games, all of that stuff. So if anybody's that's curious about that, go dive in. Light Night again is a cool thing to check out. So any recommendations what people should look into?
Just the games I talked about. I mean, just start there.
Yeah, there's lots out. So yeah, Satoshi games. There's another one. I can't remember. Thunder, I think, is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
I think those are mostly mobile. But still, like there's stuff happening. So check them out. We're gonna round this out with Jess's reason for being bullish. So Jess, I toss it to you. What are you excited about?
Alrighty. Well, I mean, there were a couple of reasons. Some of them were touched on, but this one stood out to me. I don't know if you guys saw, but this is basically a Bitcoin fixes this moment. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, finally came to the conclusion that the Bitcoin price could 10x in 5 years. And for me, there's really no other way to describe him other than annoying, because ever since 2013, he's been saying Bitcoin's a scam, Bitcoin's a fraud. It's like every single year they're wheeling out grandpa saying to the mainstream media, like, Bitcoin's a scam, don't buy it. It's a fraud. And even in 2017, he came out and saying Bitcoin's a scam like he always does. Yet he was talking about how his daughter bought it. So clearly she's smarter than him. But basically, he just reminds me of that meme where it's like this young person leading this old person, where the old person saying something absolutely ludicrous. So it's Jamie Dimon saying Bitcoin's a scam. And we're just all over here like, okay, it's time to go to bed, Jamie. And it's just funny to watch now because we're all just sitting over here like, yeah, we told you, like, yeah, we saw. And he clearly couldn't escape the inevitability of Bitcoin, and it finally caught up to him. He's probably sitting there realizing how fiat's going to completely screw him over, and he's looking for a way out, and that's Bitcoin. And we all know that Bitcoin is the one asset that's inflation resistant, guaranteed to increase purchasing power over time, and can never be confiscated. And so I am bullish because even a hater like Jamie Dimon can acknowledge that Bitcoin will moon. And all I have to say is welcome to the Bitcoin revolution, Jamie.
It's the funny thing is, hold on, I got to share the screen. He's still, even though he said it could 10x, he's still stubborn as fuck.
I know.
Because
he said, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care if it 10x's. Now he's just salty. Now he's like, it's probably gonna 10x, but like whatever. I don't even care about that, you guys. I don't even care.
I know.
It's like the most like
so
spiteful teenage girl approach.
Peter Schiff level 1 here. Yeah, I don't care if it 10x's.
I love that Schiff and Diamond are both having the same moment where their kids are clearly like out thinking them about the value proposition here. Like Spencer has been, Spencer Schiff has been quite public about it. But you know, I'd love to see Jamie Dimon's daughter to just like kick open the fucking door on Bitcoin Twitter and be like, yo, my dad's a total tard. And I just stack sats again. I would love to see that play out. I think that'd be amazing.
Oh, that'd be priceless. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's it's again, and I remember he was like, oh, I'm, you know, if you buy Bitcoin and you're working for me, you're gonna get fired or whatever.
Yes.
And now they've got like their own division that's handling, you know, for high net worth clients like custody and stuff like. It's insane.
Yep.
Yeah, he's. I mean, what other? There's a lot of people out there that are just never gonna come around. Like, there's been a good number of like Steve Hanke. He's just got like full on BDS, Bitcoin derangement syndrome, where he's just, it's impossible. It's going to be impossible for him to ever admit how successful it gets. Like he's daily tweeting, and it's basically the same tweet every day, but he's daily, sometimes multiple times daily, tweeting out what an absolute disaster Bitcoin is in El Salvador and how like everything's basically on fire. And it's like, and because his tweets are basically just the same thing over and over again, I've been commenting with the exact same thing over and over again. So I always just say, why are you crying? And on every single tweet about it. And again, like, do you guys have favorites of the salty no corners out there? On
Hanke's one of them, dude.
Oh yeah.
I jump in there. And look, I'm not going to lie. I fucking report him to Twitter safety for misinformation because it always is. It always is. And I always say, Jack, if you're serious about misinformation, yeah, take some of these guys off of here because everything he talks about is a total clown show, man. This guy has no idea. He talks about volatility on a week-by-week basis. Oh, by the way, only when Bitcoin is down for a bit, Bitcoin has a fucking 10 or 15% green dildo, and then there's no response at all. So yeah, Hanke's a joke. Schiff is they're all jokes, man. And it just goes to show how set in the ground people are on this stuff, and how even someone like Twitter allows people like this to talk.
Yeah, there's another one that I have. Hold on, I gotta find it here. There was another guy. Oh yeah, there we go. Rohan Gray. Do you guys know who this tool is? He's like one of the people where it's like, oh, Bitcoin is literally boiling the oceans and it's gonna destroy all life on the planet, and we need to avert this crisis and everything.
You should
Anyways,
send him that video of the ocean on fire.
oh yeah, this I found so funny. So this is his tweet. Nick Carter had said, fitting that the proposed solution to a literal all-time high in relative debt levels is minting a meme coin as opposed to doing something crazy like cutting spending. So he's talking about like the renewed proposals from people or suggestions from people in U.S. government to mint a $1 trillion coin like out of nothing and saying, oh, okay, there's $1 trillion here now. And he's saying how, this is where we're at instead of actually entertaining the idea of just spending less fucking money. And this guy has the audacity to screenshot it and say crypto bro geniuses always reveal themselves when they try to cosplay as federal budget experts. And like he's using the idea of fiscal responsibility as like a laughable gotcha moment. Like, ha, I knew you were gonna talk about spending responsibly and not like printing trillions of dollars and debasing the US dollar by 40% in a single calendar year. What an idiot. Like, these are the talking points that these people have now, and they're laughing at us for dare suggesting, guys, maybe like we should cut some expenses and like get rid of some of these programs that are doing nothing and actually, shrink government, dare I say. And they're like, hilarious. Like, where does it go from here? Like, do they just
Well, we gotta bail out company owners. God forbid anyone buying stock or owning companies actually went broke. We gotta bail them out, which unfortunately incentivizes very risky and unsound behavior. You need to allow for failure so people start acting responsibly also in companies. And by the way, if any company owner goes bust, someone else buys up the assets and the jobs continue. Bailing out the owners is the last thing that they should be doing. We need sound money.
Yeah, it's I mean, these guys will still be in denial when the dollar is there. Actually, there's a really good book. Hold on, I want to grab it here because I want to shill it. I want people to read it. Hold on. Okay, now you're going to have to, at one point in the book, they mention Bitcoin passingly as if it hadn't succeeded. So you're going to have to, and I think Rick's phone just died. That's okay. I bid you adieu, Rick. Thank you for coming. But it's effectively a book on the U.S. for the first time defaulting on its debt, saying that it's not going to pay what it owes, and it going into total disarray and like mass, like crazy inflation. And it chronicles a family living in those times, like 10 years from now, as all this shit hits the fan. And it's really good. And particularly like the beginning when shit's actually hitting the fan, and like the president is giving addresses about what's happening, and like most people don't get it. But people like this guy, this Rohan Gray, remind me, because there's a character, it's like the uncle in the book, and he's just this stubborn fucking idiot economist that the entire time is like, no, this is what's happening, and like is trying to frame it in his fiat mind as this is what's going down. I get it. I know what's going to happen. Meanwhile, like the university refuses to pay him anymore because like nobody wants to pay fucking economists for anything because they were also wrong about everything. It's good. So I would recommend checking out this book because it's basically those, when it's focused on this character, it's basically a biography of all of these no coiners on Twitter right now. It's great. So guys, I think what I'm going to do here, and again, Jess, thank you for your reason for being bullish. I loved it. Let's round out with some final thoughts. And and bid everybody adieu. So I guess I'll go to Puppy first, dude. Any final thoughts about anything we talked about today, or any final thing you want to get off your chest?
Fuck, man. We were just getting started, man. I thought this was a 3-hour show.
I got a pack from Miami, man.
Fuck, I'm going to sort of Spaces chat later just to make up for this lack of Bitcoin talk. Let me tell you something. The one thing right now, because I started off, I love the network effect that came out. The network effect to me is just another layer of Bitcoin and the value it provides to the world. And you're talking about why we're bullish. So let me explain something to you. I'm here, I'm stuck in the US, okay? And I see a government that just barely avoided a shutdown today. They almost furloughed every government worker. They just had a last minute furlough, okay? They didn't have money to pay for the government workers. Meanwhile, they are passing a bill for $3.5 trillion while the president tells you it will cost you $0 for this. Are you fucking kidding me? What kind of math is this? You're shutting down the government. You're taking a $3.5 trillion loan, and then you're saying it won't cost you anything. It's a fucking clown world, man, that we're in. So that's why I'm bullish on Bitcoin.
I love that. That's, oh God, it gets me so riled up hearing that too. You're making me bullish because it's like Bitcoin fixes this kind of reason. It's awesome. Anders, how about you? Any parting thoughts? Anything you have left?
Yeah, I have two things. Something that both of you said. So just to a little bit similar to what Poppy was saying, and also something you said before. Anyways, let me get to the point. So have you guys noticed how this time around, when going into the discussion about the debt ceiling, I see a lot more comments from these central stakeholders. I think even Janet Yellen and some of the bank CEOs that, hey, you got to consider that US might default on their debt. It is where I think previously they were like, we're gonna fix it. But I think I've seen a lot of this. We might not be able to. US might default. Which is, I don't know, am I the only one who's seen that? But I think that's that is bearish for the dollar, and that is, of course, bullish for the for Bitcoin. I don't know if they'll use this opportunity as the time to do the global reset, but let's see. So the other thing, closing thoughts, like $300,000 per Bitcoin, I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's a matter of time. That I have no doubt of. Personal opinion, not financial advice. $3 million per Bitcoin, it's just a matter of time. $30 million per Bitcoin, it's really just a matter of time. So yeah, everything fundamental is pointing that direction. That's it from me. Thanks for having me on, Jessica and Poppy. Always good to see you guys as well.
Yeah, that's and again to the debt stuff, the possibility of default. You're right. It's the first time that I've actually heard that entertained seriously, and I don't think that they would go that route this quickly. But at some point, there's going to be enough pushback where it's it becomes a possibility, and that's a big fucking deal, because to have the US actively default on debt, it throws the entire world into disarray. I firmly believe that they'll just continue raising the debt ceiling until the currency is worthless, until inflation is so bad that they're like, maybe we try something else, and then that'll be like the last nail in the coffin, right? But yeah, you're right. It's the first time I've heard that entertained, and it's a scary thought. But I think they're just going to use it as ammunition for each political party to try and get what they want. Unfortunately, again, but hey. There is no debt ceiling. It's imaginary. It's never been there. I saw a clip the other day. They've raised it like
78 times.
78 times since 1960.
78 times.
How insane is that? That's crazy.
That's hardly a ceiling. You can't call that a ceiling. That's just infinity.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That's more than once per year. That's more than once per year since 1960. 78 times. Holy shit. Yeah.
What a clown.
I've never felt happier to have Bitcoin, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Jess, any parting thoughts, any final things you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, Twitter implementing the Lightning Network. I mean, that was just huge to have the open network. Like Puppy was saying, the network effects, more and more people coming in, using it. I mean, I think it's just quite obvious the economic and incentivized upside of Bitcoin. It's just so undeniable now that if you don't embrace it, like, you're clearly going to be left behind. And it's just this incredible technology that we've been blessed with, and it's such a privilege to see it being implemented in real time, you know?
It's yeah, if you're not on this train, NGMI, not gonna make it. But join us. We want you to make it. We want everybody to make it. You know, you can make it, and you can make it at any time that you decide to switch to a SAT standard. So yeah, Anders, he's got me in the chat. Don't have
Same
Bitcoin.
time as you said, I just hit enter.
Great minds, friend. Great minds. Guys,
great point,
thank you. Thank you so much for being on, all of you. Everybody watching, all of the Twitter handles are in the show notes, so you can hit them up and follow them out. And of course, make sure you tune into Toxic Happy Hour. Follow them all on Twitter. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Ciao, bella.
See you guys. And everybody watching, once again, thank you so much. This is always my favorite part of the week. Of course, it was a day early because I'm heading to Miami tomorrow. So if you're going to be there, let me know. I'll be around. Outside of that, of course, hit like, subscribe, share, all those things. Super important. They really do help out the show. If you want to help out the show in another way, you can hit up the previously mentioned sponsors. Those were LEDN, Bitbuy, Bitrefill, Keystone, BillFodl. All of them are in the show notes. And finally, if you really liked what you saw, you can always drop me a Bitcoin tip at my strike.me page. That is strike.me/BTC sessions. When you get there, you can type in any amount you want. You hit the tip button. You'll be greeted with a Lightning invoice, or if you click to the right, a regular Bitcoin QR code. And with that, I am out. Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening, wherever you may be. See you guys next time for your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.